Hello and welcome to join me while we explore the capital of Iceland, Reykjavík. My name is Gylfi and I will be your brutally honest guide. And today we visit a small village merged with Reykjavík in 1998 in order to reduce the number of municipalities in the capital area. And due to how small this village is and its a very short history, this episode will be a bit different than I usually do. However, it is the only way to explain this part of the ever-changing capital region and its future. So welcome to Kjalarnes. We start the journey on a map with the complete metropolitan area in front of us, which consists of these 6 municipalities. And notice the red zone. This is the actual good old Reykjavík. And the other red zone is the land that once was ruled by the former municipality Kjalarnes. And when it merged with Reykjavík, it opened up a lot of possibilities, or for the city to expand to the north. So let's move a bit closer with this aerial photo, shot above the city facing the north, from where we can see Kjalarnes, the home of 1,300 people, just by highway number 1, or the part of the official ring road that leads us to North and West Iceland. And from there, we turn around and look back to Reykjavík. And this village is named after this little peninsula, the Kjalarnes Peninsula, and it is a community that dates back to the settlement of Iceland due to good land for agriculture and good facilities for boats. So it was a settlement that grew both from fishing and agriculture. And for some unknown reason, agriculture took over by time, so this never developed into the typical Icelandic harbor town like Reykjavík did, and remained as a typical Icelandic farmers community until 1975. That's when the country people established the township with a full set of infrastructure like a preschool, a primary and a secondary school, swimming pool and a community center, and social activities have always been a large part of the way of living around here. So the town itself was more or less just one big community center for the farmers community around, and it gave the young people the opportunity to build their own homes close by their parents. And they were very ambitious when it came to making this into a good community. And the most recent achievement is a challenging golf course. And it wasn't hard to find land under it, since this is the largest district in Reykjavík, measured in land, but the smallest measured by population. And it's quite good land as well. And when I ask the question what comes to mind when Icelanders think of Kjalarnes, it might be wind. And looking at the trees as we enter the town, it says it all actually. So we do hear it frequently in the radio that the drivers with caravans should hold on, wait until the wind calms down. And it does happen that the road closes due to wind. And it's the downslope winds from the mountains that are responsible for this. And we are just by the mountain Esja, which is actually one of the main landmarks of Reykjavík, but never belonged to them until the merger. It's a mountain that makes the city recognizable in many photos. It's a mountain that most of us have hiked up on, and it's a mountain that's in the news every now and then when someone breaks a leg or gets hit by an avalanche or something of that kind. And Esja is an important part of the Reykjavík identity, and the name Esja can be found in many forms due to that fact. In this case, we have a men's choir named after the mountain, singing a song that starts with the sentence, "A sun-colored sky floating over the Esja." But as for me, since I'm born between the mountains up north, where we have a tendency to call the Esja an overrated hill, fine for hiking but no reason to make any poems about it. And now it is finally this official part of Reykjavík, or since 1998 when they merged with Kjalarnes. And like with many other small municipalities, Kjalarnes had money problems, too much infrastructure, or too few taxpayers, or perhaps a bit too much ambition. So in 1998, the villages agreed to merge Kjalarnes with Reykjavík. That took over the debts, and instead Reykjavík got the right to make planning decisions with plenty of building land to work with, or enough to make this into a community of over 10,000 people. And that was the plan around here, or to grow. But the city had way deeper pockets than this little municipality, and the expectations ran high after a merger since they finally had the resources to undertake large-scale projects. And the general idea was to create a basis for increased services in the town. That would mean less driving into the city and a better place to live in. So when I was prepping this video, I knew about this merger, and I was somehow under the impression that it had turned out just fine. However, after some browsing, what I found was a bit of a surprise, since now, 24 years after they merged with Reykjavík, many of the townspeople want to cancel that deal and merge with another municipality. And this has all to do with broken promises. So the future of this village is in fact a bit uncertain right now, since the original plan for growth simply didn't happen. Such ideas have deliberately been kept on ice, and the reason is very simple. The city does not want to grow to the north, contrary to the promises made 24 years ago. And actually, the city planning has been all about to densify the city itself, use every building plot they can come up with, even mess up old neighborhoods that sometimes have led to conflicts, and the outcome from that policy has been devastating on many levels, mostly in the form of low supply of building plots, which played a part in the huge increase in real estate prices, not just in Reykjavík, but in all municipalities within 1 hour's distance from the city. So we have seen fishery towns like Þorlákshöfn by the south coast grow extremely fast, and it's not the prettiest building land in the world, and it's 45 minutes away from the city, but people have been fleeing the housing prices in the city by the thousands. But here in Kjalarnes, 15 minutes away from the city, plenty of nice nature and good building land that could easily have cooled the market. Nothing is happening. So it's no wonder why the people around here feel betrayed. But it is more to this. The village is only 18 kilometers away from Reykjavík, by one of the busiest parts of the Icelandic highway system, and it has only 2 lanes. So it was foreseen and actually decided decades ago to make a new 4-lane highway or a shortcut over the bay with bridges or tunnels, so we could bypass the municipality in Mosfellsbær and shorten the road up north and west. But most importantly, increase traffic safety, since this part of the highway is dangerous. So one of the prerequisites for unification was to speed up that road construction. But again, Reykjavík did not deliver, and the traffic problems in the city have never been as bad as they are now. But perhaps the most serious part of this is that Iceland and the Reykjanes Peninsula and the capital region has entered a new reality when it comes to geology and potential natural disasters. And this map that I use frequently during my volcano updates tells it all. The plate boundaries are just around here, there are volcanoes all around the city, and scientists have been telling us that this chapter that we just entered will include frequent eruptions and go on for the next 200 years or even more, and trigger most, if not all, the volcanic systems around the city. And in some cases we can expect to get submarine eruptions with huge ash problems. And even the small eruption in 2021 was causing problems in the city due to gas pollution. So back then we started the discussion over whether it's possible to evacuate parts of the city, and the answer was simple. It will take days to evacuate the complete city, but it can be possible to move people between districts, and there are 3 main roads from out of the city, and they might be unusable, leaving us with a 2-lane road to the north. And this is how the city looked from Kjalarnes just 2 years ago, during this very small eruption actually, or practice might be the best word. So one has to ask, is it sensible to plan a city to the north, away from the plate boundaries? And we know the answer. And Reykjavík has a building land there, but won't use it. But they do build directly on top of the mighty fissure swarm from the so-called Krýsuvík volcanic system, a system that's clearly getting ready, and we only have to look at the lava fields in and around the city. We would never build a city there today if we were settling Iceland now with the modern knowledge that we have today. And Reykjavík would most likely be built further north. So in my opinion, we should listen to the same scientist that predicted this long chapter of unrest decades ago. So what is happening now in Iceland is no coincidence. This was predicted, and the scientists say that we will get eruptions closer by the city, and there will be days when we have dangerous levels of air pollution. But the need for a full evacuation is unlikely, but it would be good to have a Reykjavík district with perhaps 10,000 people close by and a 4-lane highway to get us there fast, or until the wind changes for the better. So this Reykjavík building policy is in fact a matter of national security now, but let's get back from the volcano pollution in the city and back to Kjalarnes. And how are things there today? The number of children in the primary school has dropped by half. It's getting harder to get the young people to stay. They expected a larger community with more services and such. So it is no wonder why residents want out of this deal with the city. But I do not expect that this merger will be cancelled. The sensible thing in 1998 would have been to merge Kjalarnes and Mosfellsbær, since those communities have much greater common interests. Like both of them are this rural part of the metropolitan area, and they have the ability to grow into one continuous town by time. And I am sure that the city will grow into this direction. It simply has to, at some time point. But it's just such a waste to see all this infrastructure that the farmers built here, and the soul of the village disappear into nothing. And despite the wind, I have stopped by around here quite frequently, especially on the peninsula, where we have good view over the city. Not this day actually, since I'm a bit of a country boy, although I like to have the city action near me, or a bit of both worlds. And there is no denying to it that the city of Reykjavík is very energetic, and the capital region is very diverse, like you can see through the many episodes that I need to do to try to capture the soul of the capital. And this journey will continue soon in my next episode, where I will be covering Hafnarfjörður, one of my favorite towns in Iceland, and the last episode about the metropolitan area will be about the capital itself. So please consider to subscribe, since I'm not just covering the capital. By the end of this year, I will have covered every town and village in my home country, Iceland.